All right, what is up, everybody? This is 10X Tuesday. Most of the time on 10X Tuesday, I am interviewing top producers, and I bring in authors and speakers and top producers on Fridays. But guys, we got Todd Duncan. I mean, truly one of the GOAT when it comes to helping top producers win in the marketplace. It is good to have you here, brother. It's been way too
Uh,
long since you've been in this community. If you have ever been to Sales Mastery or ever been impacted by Todd, feel free to use those reactions. Down below, use a reaction. Let us know if you've ever had impact or transformation, and look at all the hearts going. If you've been to Sales Mastery once, let me know in chat. Like I've been once. I can tell you, Todd, how many Sales Masteries have there been?
all of them. Oh, you came to all of them. 30.
30. That's what I thought. So 30 Sales Masteries. So I'm going to put in the big 3-0. I know no one can beat me. Let's see if anybody can get in the 20s. But how
You
many
know who's
times?
closest? You know who's closest to you is Dan Trinidad, 29.
I know. Dan missed one. Too many to count. Marnie, what is up? Kelly James 3, Stephanie 10. So guys, it's good to be here. I think 2025 is going to go down, and people will look back and say this is the year of AI agents, where like AI has been around now for over a year, but guys, it's moving fast. AI is doubling every 3.3 months. That means that in one single year, the speed and cost of AI is going to be like 8. So think about it. Like right now, a year from now, it's going to be 8 times faster and better. And over the course of 2 years, it's more than 100. It's like 165 times faster. Just how things multiply. So it's never been more important if you're local, referral-based professional, that you are upgrading. You are upgrading. Todd, what are your thoughts on that? Because you've got Fuel, which is an AI infused learning platform, personal development platform, and then you're still talking to a lot of loan officers. What are your thoughts on the world that we're in right now?
Well, yeah, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, nobody would have ever thought there might be something better than Google, right? And so this is the next iteration of a free open source society, and it's rapidly, if not, it's probably already there as the greatest search tool in the world ever, and it will continue to get better and better and better. I think there's a balancing act. So I had a session probably 2 months ago with a bunch of loan officers, and I said, if you really have the right attitude, which is ironically part of the three things that loan officers are doing really, really well today, is they're managing their attitude and their mindset. But if you really have a great attitude, AI is your friend. It's not your foe. It's the X factor in your business. I renamed AI Accelerate Income. I wanted people to have a positive spin on AI, that if you use the tool the right way. And I have to tell you that my guess is Fuel has probably saved $300,000 in the last 8 months using AI to help create structure, to help create these beautiful experiences with our instructors in interaction. And at the same time, I would say the live event business is the most beautiful experience that you can ever have. When you look at community and you look at coming together and you look at sharing ideas, which is why Don, Gino, and I have come together to take two brands, Momentum Builder and Sales Mastery, and create hopefully the baddest ass biggest brand of events in the space, to help every single mortgage professional all the way up to the CEOs of those companies learn, grow, and get better in the modern day society. So I love AI. I love AI. And I also love the fact that if you're really open to it, your life will get better because of the technology that we see out there. You have access and availability in timeframes that are second to none. I'll give you one
Agreed.
example. I'll give you one example. So I'm in our recording studio right now, and today I'm recording high trust selling, and we have to create teleprompter scripts. And so I took a 3-page description of the 14 laws in high trust selling. I loaded it into one of our engines, and I said, I would like to create a teleprompter script for these 14 laws. Here are the segments I want. I want each lesson to be between 5 and 7 minutes, and I want a performance exercise in each lesson. And I loaded all 14 laws with their description. I sent it, and in 3 minutes, I had a 29-page teleprompting script, which if I had sat and just wrote it out would have taken me days. So it's an efficiency tool second to none, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. So here's another question for folks in chat right now. whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, I really want to get a reflection and write down if you're using AI daily. Well, by the way, start with hourly. If you're literally using it hourly, which I think I literally am using it on an hourly basis, but daily, hourly, weekly, monthly, never. So Todd Duncan is using it hourly. Come on, guys, just type it in there. Wake up. Let's, like ask
Yeah.
you to raise your hands. There we go. We got daily, weekly, hourly for sure. Daily, hourly, weekly, almost never. Daily, almost never. Minutely. Wow, minutely. Daily, daily, daily. All right. So it looks like for the most part, 90% of folks on this call right now are using it daily. So Todd, we made the headline for today's call, how to win right now in this market. And actually, I think you had like three things that people need to do to win in this market. So let's go through that. If you guys get questions along the way, put that in chat. I will insert your questions into this conversation. But Todd, what are the three things to win right now in this market?
Well, if I just give them to you straight away, mindset, messaging, mechanics. Mindset is the space of how you're approaching the market, the business, your day. Messaging is the unique factor that makes you different than every other lender that's in your marketplace. And then the mechanics are the disciplines that we know no matter what market we're in, the disciplines that ring the bell, that are the biz dev friends that generate business and generate more closings in a harder market. And if those three things are really taken a look at, we're going to go deep on all three of those at Sales Mastery in 6 weeks, I guess. But at the end of the day, if you don't have any one of those three, you don't have the trifecta to win. So one feeds the other, and then that one feeds the final one. And one of the things I would say is Sales Mastery this year is designed in a way that it's never been designed, and that is to have 25 world experts, subject matter experts, and 9 professional outside speakers teaching in micro formats. Never have we done Sales Mastery where you're going to walk away with an implementation plan after each session. And that is phenomenal because it's not so much what we learn at a live event like this, it's what we do with it. And so if you were to let me ask a question in chat. Just give me a why if you think mindset is 90% of the game. That's the qualifier. 90% of the
So
game. Do you think
put
that
put
mind?
put the percentage that you think mindset is. Is it
Oh, that's
is
yeah, yeah. Put it
10%?
in
Is it
percentage.
50%? Is it 90%? I mean, I'm with Jeff. It's 100%
Yeah.
because if you do not have a growth mindset, if you do not have a winning mindset, I think you don't get there. So anyways, it does look like we've got a lot of folks that align with that.
Yeah. So then the question would be, how are you approaching the market today? If we all agree that it's way up there, right? And I can go back as simply as optimism and pessimism. I can go back as simply to high rate, low rate. I can go back to hard markets are hard, easy markets are hard. Easy markets are hard because of capacity. Hard markets are hard because lack of volume, right? You just get to choose your hard, and that's a mental exercise. And the question that I would have is what are you doing not only to set the platform, to set the table before the day gets going. So in the privacy of your time in the morning, the privacy of a ritual or a routine or a rhythm, what are you doing to understand the mechanics of mindset, the reps that are required during the day to keep the mind great, right? And then at the end of the day, how do you use mindset to accelerate results so that you have freedom, right? And in any market, no matter how hard it is, you get to choose that pathway. I was talking with a friend of mine who works for Martin Seligman, who wrote the book Learned Optimism, and he said some of the stats that they're getting right now through June of this year are optimistic salespeople outperform pessimistic salespeople by 300%. This is a 10x deal. This call, 10x Tuesdays, I love it. 300% by the simple ideology of how do you equip yourself to be mindful about positivity. One other thing I would say, Dave, and I don't think I bet you 95% of the people on this call don't even know that it was done and then it was released. But the brand new Gallup Worldwide Leadership Report, and I'm going to make a comment right now. Every loan officer in America is a leader. You're a leader of yourself. You're a leader of your team. You're a leader of your realtors. You're a leader of your referral partners, and you're a leader of your borrowers. So make the kind of the transition as part of your mindset that you're actually a leader. And then here's what happens. So when they did their global survey, Dave, 90%, 9 out of 10 people said the two top things they wanted from their leader was hope and trust. 66% said hope. How many realtors today would like from their lender more hope? What could you bring in terms of mindset messaging to your referral partner community? How could you help them right now equip and get their own mindset dialed in? Because they no doubt on the inventory side and the offer side and all of that, they're having the same challenges that we are. There's not enough supply. There's not enough demand. The good news, and it's really sad news, but a couple 100,000 loan officers two years ago aren't here anymore. And so the mindset is that if you're the best, then you get most of what's available in the markets that you serve, the local markets you serve. And then the thing is when things don't go right, which they inevitably won't go right all the time, right? The bigger our dreams, the more that we might have stuff that doesn't happen according to plan. But the beauty of things not going according to plan is either the lessons it teaches or the reframe you get to make to do it over. And so I'm telling you right now that as I look at as I look at top producers, there's a minimum of a 30-minute ritual every single morning to set the stage for positivity, for hope, for trust, and then they go out and slay it. And when they get interrupted during the day on something that isn't favorable or something that might be a setback or whatever might interrupt that and lead us to think negatively, they stay positive. What's good about this? What's the lesson I learned, and how can I do it differently next time? So, and the positivity movement at Sales Mastery is going to be second to none. And you guys know why. It's 100% of the game, 90% of the game.
So
So
Todd, I don't know. I know I haven't interviewed you, and you and I haven't personally talked about this, but I don't know if you knew about the book I'm writing called Know Your Code. Have you heard about that at all?
I have heard a little bit about it, but not in depth.
So if you're watching this and you come to a lot of my content, you know what I'm talking about. But I want to anchor this mindset to your personal code. And for anyone that's new, I just put a link to the Dave Savage code down below. This is a journey. Well, the journey of having a code started even before I went to my first sales mastery 30 years ago. I just happened to learn a lot of things from this personal code. And here's the deal. Two things that are really relevant to this time in the market and to sales mastery and to winning right now in this market or what's your code? And here's what I know, because I interview enough top producers that if you are winning professionally and you are winning personally, you've got a good code. And you're also living your code because you just can't win personally and professionally and not have values, beliefs, and things that drive. Like every person I've interviewed, by the way, it's doing 100 million healthy personally and professionally. They've got this code. And so I really want you to think about like, what is your code? And I'm going to be talking about this more from the stage of sales mastery. I'm going to do it in a way that is like loans now, like how, the part of the sales mastery that I'm going to be leading is going to be me kind of teeing it up with, do you have a code that can win today and future proof? And then how can you get loans now in today's market? I'm going to have three amazing professionals. I'll talk more about that later. But what I want everybody to do right now is in the context of what Todd's said. And you don't need to share this with Todd and I, but I do want you to write down something right now. Like to me, the cornerstone of my code that helped me win was my advice makes a difference. And Todd knows that story well. He's heard me talk about it from stage at Sales Mastery. I founded Mortgage Coach on that. But I want you to just write down one belief, might be a mantra that you have, so that by the time Todd and I get done with this, like one, you're going to get some tactical ideas to execute right now. And you're also going to be building out your code. You're going to be like building out some beliefs that you have. Um, Todd, anything you want to add to that before we kind of jump from mindset to messaging, or any thoughts?
I'm typing something in the chat. Uh, this is my code and belief system. So everything can be improved and anything is possible. And Deb and I have a core belief that no matter how hard anything gets, everything always works out for us. And it's a beautiful way to take adversity, to take challenges, to take things that happen that aren't part of the plan, and to stay high and to stay optimistic. And I'm not talking about pumping your chest and saying yes to the sky 5 times with as much passion as you can. Those are all external physical things. But the interesting thing is your mindset should be deeply, deeply positive inside your soul because you believe. And I said at Mastery in 2002 that where your belief ends, your limits begin. And the theme at Mastery this year is beyond boundaries. We want you to leave that event boundaryless in terms of opportunity in your relationships, in your health, in your money, in your investments, in your relationships with business partners, leadership, so on and so forth. So Dave, that would be what I would say. And what you guys can do is you can just pop over right now and while we're on, and you can pop over and you can come to the site and you can see the Mortgage Coach MC25, $200 off the retail ticket. Just go to salesmasteryevent.com and you type this in when you register. And by the end of this call, I would like everybody in chat to put I'm in, meaning that you have signed up during the call. And for me, I spent 30 years leading sales mastery to help people master selling and master life. And mastery is a powerful word. It gives you an unfair competitive advantage in any situation. The better you get at business, the better business gets for you. The better you get at life, the better life gets for you.
Yeah, and the thing I would add to that is coming to Zoom events like this, watching podcasts. Guys, these are really important tools and traits to winning daily. Like I personally need to consume content, positive content, on a daily basis. And then I create positive content on a daily basis because there is no substitute to being in person at an event like Sales Mastery. Not only what you get on stage, the relationships you build. So and you remember I kicked this whole call off with this is the year of agents in AI. It's a really important time to upgrade. Like the illiterate of 2025 will not be those who can't read and write. They will be those who cannot unlearn old ways of doing things and learn, one, how to use AI, two, new and better ways to do things. So I really, I mean, I said this for the 30th anniversary of Sales Mastery, like, this is the one. And I really believe, like, okay, this is it. Of course, I had no idea just how dark and difficult this industry would get. But between the challenges in the market, the fact that AI is just exploding, I really do think this will possibly be the most important sales mastery to be at in person. So, as
Yeah.
Todd said, there's a link, there's a $200 discount. We're not going to we're going to give you some meat throughout this hour, but Todd and I both in our heart feel like this is a really important time for the industry to get together and elevate. So, guys,
Yeah.
click on the link. If you're going to multitask at all during our call, feel free to sign up
Oh,
for this year's event.
I want to show something, Dave, before we pop into messaging. So I have always been proud of the fact that as hard as it is, sometimes I walk my talk. And this was last night. I'm getting ready to record, and one of the lessons I'm recording is this idea of practice. And so I typed into chat last night, on average, how many hours a week, including film, playbook, drills, and on-field preparation, does a top quarterback spend per week for a 1 hour game? Great question. Okay, film study, 20 to 25 hours a week. Playbook and mental reps, 8 to 12 hours a week. Practice drills, 20 to 25 hours a week. Strength and conditioning, 8 to 10 hours a week. Team meetings, 10 to 12 hours a week. Total prep time, 65 to 80 hours per week. And I share that with you because last night it was it. And then I needed a goal setting study. And then I wanted to research a little bit on Aristotle. And then I put my high trust selling 3-page description into chat because I wanted a teleprompter script for today. And 3 minutes later, I had a 30-page teleprompter script. And so what I'm asking you to consider is this idea that not only is AI your friend, it is the turbocharged nitro of what you can do in your life. You should never ever ask a question like this. How do I provide value to my real estate agents? How do I provide value to my referral partners? You have access now on demand to get anything you want to add value to anybody you want as long as you know what they need. And that gets back to the basics of selling. Ask very inquisitive well thought out questions so that you can uncover that, you guys can solve anything. It's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. There's never it's never been more clear how to win at being a super successful mortgage professional. It's never been more clear how to lose. And I would urge everybody, like, take that prompt that Todd did. I'm actually going to multitask a little bit and put it in my AI, and then put something like because I like to be one percenter. I like that's one of my things. I'm just very competitive. And I'm gonna, put in, hey, if I want to be literally one of the top 1% mortgage professionals, what should I do to do it? So I'm gonna play off of that, and I recommend you guys kind of do the same thing. But by the way, put in yours. Like, not everybody wants to be the top 1%. Not everybody wants to do 100 million. And by the way, that is absolutely okay. Like I'm always about the YouTube channel that I support and the content I support is I want to help you achieve your goals. Whatever your professional goals are, I want to help you achieve those. Now, with this book I'm writing, I also want to help you have a well-rounded, win personally, win professionally, in every aspect of life. So Todd, let's talk a little bit about messaging because I saw a post about a month ago and I actually did a podcast on it where Justin Tucker from WF, well, he's now with First, what's the big First Fidelity title, I think, but it's time he was with, but he said all that's going to matter 5 years from now is AI and personal brand. And at first I thought like, okay, I get your point, but it's a bit of an exaggeration to make a point. But then the more I started thinking about that, if you're a local professional and you think about what's happening with AI voice, you think about how things are moving, like your personal brand matters more than ever, which means your messaging is the key to that personal brand. What are your thoughts on that? And what are some things you could share today on it?
Well, I was asked on a podcast 2 weeks ago, what was a turning point in your life as an originator? And I said, one of the big turning points that I'll never forget was the turning point of choosing relationship over transaction. And the reason why that was an important turning point is because then I could use that in any dialogue. I could say, unlike most loan officers who are interested in getting a deal from you, I'm more interested in building a long-term relationship with you. If we do that, we're going to be able to do all the business we can. That was my first introduction to messaging, that I really wanted to be different. And one of my early mentors, Mike Ferry, said the key to success is to stand up and stick your head higher than the rest of the crowd you're competing against. Look at the way they're going and turn around and go the other way. And the metaphor there was do not follow the masses. Disruption does not have any meaning if you're not doing it differently than anybody else that's out there. So I'll give you one example, and this example is going to lead to the mechanics piece with a different example. But I want to set this up. So we all have a story. We all have this ability to introduce a unique value proposition, and we have this opportunity, as Donald Miller talks about in story branding, and as Deb and I talk about in story selling, is this idea of using less than 10 words to really stimulate a thoughtful conversation. So I was talking with somebody who was on our webinar, one of the webinars we did. We did a series 2 weeks ago. We did a webinar every day at 1 o'clock, and we had one person that's going to be on stage at Sales Mastery talk through a significant discipline that they used. And so the first day I talked about mechanics, and then I gave everybody an assignment after I talked about mechanics, and you're going to see it in just a moment here. I talked about mechanics, and at the end of the webinar, I said, so here's your challenge. Between right now and tomorrow, I want you to do this one thing, this one mechanic discipline. I want you to do this one thing. And when we get back together tomorrow, I want you to report in how many loans this group generated in 24 hours. And I said, before you do that, I want you to understand messaging. Okay, so that was the setup. So the next day they come back, and 254 people in 24 hours generated 117 loans, loan opportunities, actual loans, buyer consultations leading to loans. And I asked them, so based on all of you that gave a positive number, 1.5 loans or 3 loans or whatever your number was, how much would you make? And in 24 hours, the answer averaged about $11,000 based on that one mechanic. So now, if messaging opens the door to business, the mechanics of business, how is your messaging different? So the second day of the webinar, we had a gal on that I've been coaching for 12 years, and she started off by saying, what I'm about to tell you, you can choose if you'd like to follow, but just so we're all clear, I'll close 30 loans this month and I'll work 12 hours a week on my personal brand. And if you all want to do that, then follow the next 30 minutes on the webinar, right? And so I look at that, and one of the questions I asked her is I said, so your messaging is a magnet. And she goes, yes. And unlike most loan officers, they don't have a magnet because they polarize that attraction because they don't have a clear message. So I said, what is your clear message to real estate agents? And she goes, if I'm talking to a new agent, I simply say, one of the reasons why so and so wanted me to talk to you is I help realtors build wealth through real estate. And then the next question after that, I help realtors build wealth through real estate, 8 words. So the next obvious question is, wow, that's unique. How do you do that? And the next answer is, I'm glad you asked. We sit down and we have a discovery call for about 30 minutes. I find out where the holes are in your business, and then I show you how I can help you make more income in your business. That's how she frames it. To a borrower, same thing. So she'll say, I'm different than almost every lender out there because unlike quoting you a rate and recommending a product, I help my borrowers build wealth through real estate and create even generational wealth by managing their mortgage for life. Wow, what does that mean? Or how do you do that? That's messaging, right? And if you think about it, to be able to be in a 300 or 400 families served in a year by just looking at your messaging. I'm at Staples Center. I'm speaking to 20,000 people in direct marketing. And I had a hallway conversation with somebody. And I looked at her and I said, tell me what you do for a living. And 4 minutes later, she was still talking. And I said, you know what? That's way too long. You lost me like in the first 30 seconds. And I just stood by and listened to you. And she goes, well, how would you do it differently? And I said, well, just ask me what I do for a living. And she looked at me and she said, so what do you do for a living? And I said, I help people. Okay, watch that. I help people fall in love with their life and achieve prosperity in the process. I help people fall in love with their life and achieve prosperity in the process. Who would say not interested, right? So Dave, messaging is, let's do that again. Give me a percentage in chat. How important is messaging in a competitive kind of, I don't know, non-differentiated mortgage market where everybody's got access to the same thing? And how powerful are you when you can ask a question like that gets somebody to say, wow, tell me more. Tell me more. How powerful is messaging? Massive, Jeff says. Stephanie, 100%. 100%. I'm doing a lesson today. It's entitled Presentation Isn't Everything, but it's the main thing. And if you don't know how to message in today's market, you are part of the masses. You're not unique enough.
All right, guys. So here's what I want you to do. Now, again, I'm a pretty good multitasker. So I took what Todd was saying because it's always about taking something inspirational, whether it's from a stage like this, stage like Sales Mastery, and then making it yours. Like, okay, I'm going to take what Todd said and I'm going to make it mine. So, and I would urge you guys all to do that. If you're watching the recording, put this on pause. What he gave you was a golden script. So I help realtors and their clients build wealth with real estate faster because my advice makes a difference. Let me give you a couple examples. 30-second to 1-minute story. 30-second to 1-minute story. How would you like me to help you and your clients build wealth with real estate faster? So that's me, because remember, part of my code is my advice makes a difference. So I always look at everything through. And again, I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach. So I'm always about, hey, how can I tell stories and teach strategies to build wealth with real estate faster? But I want you guys to take what Todd just did, like literally this, we're 30 minutes into the call, we're right at halftime. Like we could stop right now. And if you actually executed on what was just given to you, you could get more loans right now. And you could have a better conversation with a realtor right now. Anyways, that was sweet, Todd. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just typed into chat in Todd Duncan's voice, how do you really add value to real estate agents and borrowers? and it just produced a playbook. So, you guys, there's no reason why we can't master our mindset, master our message, and master our mechanics. Super powerful. Yeah. So, and I would just say, listen, um, when I started Sales Mastery, Dave, you'll remember this in Palm Desert, California. We had 292 people show up. Those were the days of Walter Sanford, if you can remember. We had Robert Cialdini, who wrote the book Influence. And I was scared to death. I had never done an event before, and I hired a guy named Walter Sanford that helped me do all the marketing for the event. And we did it. And we never looked back. We are here doing this new deal 31 times sales mastery, and now Don and Gino are part of the ride, and we get to do that. And it's just like, that is my life. That's my life. And right now, my belief is everybody on this call, this entire industry needs a massive tune-up right now. We need to put our body in the success garage, and we need to have a full body scan, head to toe. Head to toe. Success is about the mind, it's about the heart, it's about the spirit, and it's about the body, right? Those four things are going to be what we cover over 3.5 days. Super tactical, 5-minute sessions, 8-minute sessions, 19-minute panels. I mean, just short, sweet, and to the point. And the goal this year is to have everybody walk out with an implementation guide, and then the value we add afterwards is going to be second to none, because we're going to roll right into Sales Mastery 2026 in Dallas right after 2025 is over. So, yeah, so you need to be there, right? Be there. And could you just do something real quick? Everybody type in as fast as you can. Just get 10 answers to this question. What is your commission per loan in your market today? Just type in a number. I just want to kind of get a sense of this. 3,500, 3,250, 8,000, 6,000, 23,000, 32, 3,200, $10,000, $4,000. Okay, awesome. So one of the laws in high trust selling is the law of the shareholder, and it says successful salespeople buy stock in themselves. For a $200 off ticket, $695. If you're in the Midwest, in the South, you can drive to Dallas. You can fly to Dallas for $200, and you can get a hotel room. This whole thing is less than one commission to come learn, grow, and get better and hang out with the best. So I always try to remind people that the best business to invest in is your business. It's your business. And Dave, to your point, it is your brand. Your brand is your future. And this branding opportunity that we're seeing in today's marketplace is second to none, Dave.
Yeah, no, I agree. One more thing on the messaging before we go off this, because
Yeah.
while I think the wealth strategy is a powerful differentiator, it's a powerful piece of advice to help consumers. I also think it's important to tailor, ask great questions. I'm going to give you another value proposition that you can actually play it along with the, hey, I'm going to help them build wealth with real estate faster. And I'm going to get them truly excited about buying a home right now in this market. And I'm going to coach them on how to win in multiple offer situations. Now, if you're talking to a realtor and in the market they serve, multi offer situations aren't something they're dealing with regularly, then leave that out of your value prop. But it's just super important that, as you're crafting these value props in this market, you're solving problems for realtors. Um, so Todd, any other, like way I see it, like we kicked this off with mindset. I think we've really nailed messaging. I don't know if there's anything more you want to add before we start unpacking mechanics and like what are the mechanics, of a high performing winning loan officer in this market. Anything else you want to cover on messaging?
Yeah, I would ask you all to consider um, remembering that no matter how hot and heavy AI gets, humanity and emotional intelligence and situational empathy are the big drivers of conversion. And when you really think about differentiating, in the society that Dave has built, in the society that I built and Don and Gino have built, that that salespeople talk too much, and especially in pre-qual situations. One of the things that was offered last week on the webinar series is never talk about pre-approval again. That's messaging. Never talk about pre-qualification again. That's messaging. Talk about, I begin every conversation as a discovery call with my clients, be they realtors or borrowers. And after that discovery call, I'll be able to pinpoint where I can add the most value. That is so powerful. You can throw a lender under the bus without mentioning their name by just saying, at this point, most lenders are happy to quote you a rate and maybe start talking about a program that you're interested in. I'm a little bit different. I do a discovery call with every client. This is the start of something that could last 20 or 30 years together. And I want to be by your side helping you make smart choices. I cannot do that without having a discovery call. That's a powerful, powerful brand differentiator. So I would just say craft these messages that are short. We had a guy that did a new messaging to borrowers in a situation. He had a husband and wife, and they were relocating to Portland from Anchorage, and they were first time home buyers. So he got on Zoom with them, and he had a little bit of pleasant kind of conversation. And he said, "Listen, before we get started, and here's a messaging question: what would it mean to you as first time home buyers to own a home?" And as he tells the story of that message, right, that messaging, what would it mean to you? That drives it so deep. That is an emotional question. And he told the story that the wife started crying a little bit and the husband teared up a bit. And probably 45 seconds later, the husband said in his state, if we could own real estate, we'd be the first family in our family's history to own real estate. And all Tim said was, I'm going to make that happen for you. Are you ready to get started? The new society is convert before you qualify. And what that's going to require, if you convert before you qualify, you are simultaneously doing two things. If they don't qualify yet, one of the strategies today is the less than 9-month funnel. The less than 9-month funnel is you should be filling a funnel today with every single borrower that is going to buy a home in less than 9 months. It could be this weekend, it could be in 3 months, it could be next April, whatever it is. You should be recruiting buyers from your referral partners that maybe they have in their orbit, but they're not ready to go make an offer on a house right now. This nurturing campaign, or you could call it less than 12 months, right? This nurturing campaign is a message of freshness to your real estate agents and even your developers, right? And builders that we're not going to be focused on the now. We'll take care of the now, but we're going to be focused on what's next. And the beauty that you could do today is you could create economic revival for your agent population if you start nurturing borrowers that are in the 9-month or less or the 12-month or less campaign. So I would say that. Um, I would also say just do not hesitate right now. You're worth every minute that is going to take you to be at Mastery, to hang out for 3.5 days, to have special small sessions with some of the best producers in the world. And man, Dave, if we just stopped right now, mindset and messaging, conversion could double or triple for you if you change those two things. And then when you get to the mechanics, they're not the sexiest part, but they're the most important part. And the mechanics matter, more than anything. But if the mindset's not straight and the messaging is not straight, then people make excuses for why they're not doing the mechanics. So wherever you want to go in this, I mean, I could start right now, but I do have a story to talk about with mechanics.
Well, let's get ready to go to mechanics. I do want to, I think I already said who is on it's not going to be a panel. Each one of these speakers is going to share a 10-ish minute keynote. We have Sean Herrera, who's going to do over 100 million this year. Jeremy Forcier is going to do over 100 million. We've got Justin Padron. It's got a really cool story of going from struggling, being very vulnerable that, hey, I've really, had to overcome some mental struggles to get to a point of thriving. But he is thriving now, and we're going to talk about this. And I promise you, you'll get tangible takeaways to upgrade your mindset from players in the field. I mean, Todd and I are both coaches now. We're talking to a lot of players. We're coaching a lot of players. We're going to be doing that at scale in Sales Mastery. But we're going to have 3 players that are just absolutely crushing it, and they're going to give tangible takeaways on mindset, messaging, And then, of course, here's the deal, guys. You cannot execute if you don't have the mechanics. If you don't have the
Right.
mechanics. So we put a link to Sales Mastery. There's a, MC25 will get you a $200 discount. There's also, like, if you're watching this in YouTube, there'll just be a link that is the Sales Mastery with the Mortgage Coach. So literally, if you click on that link, you'll get the $200 discount. If you are at the generic link, put in, wherever the discount code is, MC25 to get that. And then I also want to have like a little, not an event within an event, but maybe a little champagne toast. So anybody that is going, let me know. I'll start the conversation in our YouTube chat or our Facebook group. Also, I have started a Facebook group for Know Your Code. So if you want to document your code, know your code, there's a Facebook group called Know Your Code that you can just search. Would love to have anybody that wants to do intentional living, be their best self. I use the term a lot right now is self-optimization, because it's what we need to do. In an age of AI, you need to self-optimize if you're going to have AI working for you so that you're not working for it. You're either going to work for AI or you're going to have AI working for you. I know which side of the fence I want to be on. All right, Todd, let's get into mechanics.
So I'm already on the side of the fence you're on. So I've already jumped.
Oh,
So
I know
turning
you
back.
have.
So let me share something with you. So this is a text. I'm just going to read from it. The best way for me to explain mechanics is what Linda Davidson so efficiently and beautifully calls, daily non-negotiables. It's, what Daniel Harkavy and I, really got clear on when we started building champions 20, 30 years ago. It was just great. So I reached out to one of the gals I coach and I said, "Hey, just checking in. How are you doing?" And she said, "We're doing great. I've had a couple of really powerful months. This is July. This is dated July 20th, so a month ago." Um, and then I said, "What made your month so powerful? What disciplines did you focus on?" And she said, "Thank you. We've been hustling." So the first word is grade yourself on hustling right now. A 10 is you're hustling every day. A 5 is you could hustle more. Give me a number in chat real quick before we go forward. And just be honest and transparent. This is a beautiful spot for you to be hustling, 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 hustling. 5, a 5, 7, 9, 5, 5, 7.5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Okay, so everybody would put their hand up that we could hustle a little bit more, right? So she goes, I have a minimum amount of calls I must make each day, outbound proactive calls to set conversations with realtors, builders, and my database. I'm so diligent in this mechanic that I don't call it a day till I've done so. I'm making a ton of calls and speaking with people. We also continue our monthly lunch and learn. It sells out every week, meeting new real estate agents that way who definitely need expertise and help in today's market. So then she goes on and she goes, just to put this in perspective, these disciplines work. At the end of June, we had already funded $50 million, and I can see a $100 million year pretty easily right now. And I go, sweet. How many calls a day? That's my coaching question, right? Sweet, way to go. $100 million a year. She's number three in her state. She goes, I make a minimum of 10 calls that must be discussions. No texting, no videos, discussions with realtors and borrowers. I count face to face meetings in that count as well. Anything that is new business related. And so we go on and I go, so how many hours a week are you hustling in revenue development? And she goes, 20 maybe, 20 hours of hustling in revenue development. And to have $100 million year and to spend 20 hours a week in hustling and having conversations around that, that is an example how mechanics work. Dave, when we did the virtual sales mastery during COVID, we had James Clear and I'd become a friend of his. And in Atomic Habits, he talks about what's the one thing that if you got 1% better every day on, or even if you chose to get 1% better in the next 5 business days on setting conversations with potential referral partners and borrowers, and you did that every single week, what would happen at the end of this year if you were 52% better in biz dev? Period. End of story. That's it. Just 52% better in biz dev. And all you have to do is tell me how your life would look professionally, financially, emotionally, and physically, because we're not talking about laying it all out on the line. We're talking about the simple discipline of the mechanics. And everybody should pick what's their 1%. Is it borrower conversion? Is it borrower retention? Is it new referral partners? Is it the scripting? The AI role playing today on our fuel site is off the grid. The stuff that you're able to do to practice before you go game ready. Let me remind everybody and I'm just going to paint this out. What we want to unpack at Mastery is the power of 4 conversations a day. And if you have 20 conversations a week and they lead to 1 out of 4 doing a deal with you, you're already going to be funding 180 loans a year in a 10-month work year. And if you got 2 of those, you'd fund 360 loans in a 10-month work year. And if you got 3 out of 4, you would fund 540 loans in a 10-year work year. Sourcing is not the problem. Anybody on this call can find 20 borrowers to talk to a week. Period. That's it. And so 1 or 2 say yes, and you're going to be funding between 180 and 360 loans a year. Now, somebody do the math real quick based on your commission per loan, times it by 360 and see what that means in revenue. 2 people, just do it real quick because I want the number to pop up to suggest minimally the urgency of being at Sales Mastery. $3.6 million, Stephanie says. Nobody needs to say anything else. This is mechanics, guys. There's no shortcutting mechanics. Period. End of story. So Dave, that's and by the way, Jim Rohn said it's the mastery of a few disciplines executed every day that leads you to either failure or fortune. I'm only asking you to pick 1 or 2. Deeper conversations with partners, higher conversion because of deeper conversations with borrowers. Volume is not the problem. Mechanics are the problem.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It's all about the execution. Because by the way, the value props we gave earlier, hey, I'm going to help you build wealth with real estate faster because my advice matters. Like that sounds really good. And hey, I've got a process to help buyers get super excited about buying homes now. And I've got a process to someone who's got a 2 or 3% mortgage to really help them make a confident decision around should they move up now or should they wait. Like if you don't have the ability to execute really well on those things, um, they're not going to work. Like the words by themselves don't work. They need to have the action. And then if you're not doing what Todd just talked about, like you're prospecting regularly, you're having these great conversations. By the way, you're not going to have the confidence that when you do the discovery call, that you're really going to crush it. So Todd, let me ask you this. Tomorrow at 9, I'm actually doing like I don't know, it's almost like a mortgage coach demo, but Jeremy and I are, every Wednesday at 9, I'm teaching loan officers how to use mortgage coach. And one of the things I'm talking about tomorrow is how to win with realtors right now and how to get ready for refis. Now, who knows, by the time sales mastery comes, we may be in a little refi wave. By the way, let's hope that we're in a little refi wave. But what's your talk? How are you mentoring and coaching people right now around you got to win with realtors, but when rates dip, because that may happen sooner than later. But I mean, it's probably going to happen between now and end of 26. What's the Todd Duncan take on how to balance realtors and refis?
So I think the thing that you need to understand is with your CRM and your data points and realizing what rates your customers have, you would do what all top producers do, and you would set the hook for intentional refi calls starting now. And you could determine, by the end of this week, if you have the right CRM and data, you could determine right now if rates go down 1 point between now and January, what group of borrowers needs a call from you this week and next month to set the hook for making sure you're on it. It's the idea of messaging before the message needs to be sent. because you guys all know everybody in this on this call has lost refis to other lenders because we haven't been in front of the curve. Remember the 9 month or less funnel with the borrowers who are going to be buying homes in the next 9 months. You could have a 12 month or less refi funnel and you could do the same thing there. So the calls could become more purposeful, probably starting immediately. And I would tranche them out in terms of closing and interest rate that you did the first time, and who's going to get called in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And I would start messaging that 3 months ahead of schedule. I would start letting them know as their advisor, you are keeping your eye on the market and you know where their rate is, and you know that we might be 100 to 175 basis points less than when you funded, a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. And we're on top of it. We're in front of it. So, Dave, I would say that I would build the pipeline for refis way before the rest of the world is starting to even think about it. Nobody knows, we're seeing some Fed pressure right now to lower, and we're seeing some things that are going to, I believe, are going to stimulate that refi. And remember, every time you do a refi, it's going to lead to another purchase or a purchase referral. And every purchase you're doing right now is going to lead to a refi. And those two things are always linked symbiotically to each other. I mean, there's no such thing as a refi if there wasn't a purchase. So we have to understand that it's part of the mix. But instead of having it be a gift that we weren't planning for, we're going to be in front of the curve, because my advice should always be given to my clients. I'm advising you in Q1 of next year to maybe take a look at an interest rate, blah, blah, blah. We put it into, TCA, we show the savings, we do all that kind of stuff. And I'm telling you right now, the sooner you're ahead of this curve, the more likely you're going to optimize the refi business when it happens. And I'm just going to tell you guys right now, do not lose a customer next year due to refi and you not being in front of it.
So we've got 8 minutes left. I want to save the last 5 minutes to unpack sales mastery a little bit more, but give me a 1 minute Todd Duncan script. I mean, I think from what you just said, people can net it out, but give them 1 minute. If Todd Duncan was calling someone in his database, trying to nail down a strike price, get them prepared for when it hits, what does Todd Duncan say?
I could say, hey, Dave, it's Todd. As I told you a year and a half ago, I'm on it. I'm watching your mortgage every single month. The market's going to move. Dave, I'm sure you're looking at that. The market's going to move. We may be able to save you $100 or $300 a month if we stay in front of the curve. I know you'd be open to that. Let's have a quick 10-minute chat. Let's find out how your real estate goals and dreams have changed, and let's see when it makes sense to tactically get you in line for a refinance.
All right, guys, you got it. Stay on this call, guys. I want to make sure we unpack. By the way, we got a lot of hearts. So if you like that script, stay on it. Maybe if we'll have time to do even another script. But big guys, you already heard the framework. Like this is going to be an event around mindset, because if you don't have the right mindset, you can't have the right message. And if you don't have the right mindset, the right message, you can't operate, you can't execute. So Todd, I don't literally think we have time to go through every speaker, but I have a couple favorites, but I want to hear you just call out a few of the speakers that you're most pumped about and how you think they'll bring value to loan officers right now in this market.
So I started with you.
Go for it. You can always talk about me.
No,
No,
I
but
mean,
seriously.
you from the moment you came to me and said, I'm going to start a company called Mortgage Coach, to today, one of the proudest relationships I have is my friendship with you. And it's been just massively beautiful to watch how you've influenced an entire industry around this advice centric kind of thought. So I'm excited about the new code presentation and panel you're going to have. I'm very excited that Tom Ferry and I are back together. Tom right now is doing his summit in Dallas. He's got 6,000 realtors in attendance, and he's going to come rocking and rolling straight into mastery with some very, very beautiful stuff that we can all model. I'm excited about Jim Murphy. Jim Murphy wrote the book Inner Excellence. And if you remember the Super Bowl, A.J. Brown, who was a wide receiver for the Eagles, would be reading Jim Murphy's book on the sidelines, not looking at the iPad on his last plays, but reading Jim Murphy's book. And so Don and I had this idea of getting Jim Murphy on stage, and his fee was exorbitant. And Don and I got creative, and instead of him speaking, we're going to do an interview with him. And he's going to come at it, a professional MLB player, went on a journey to figure out and discover his purpose in life. Wrote this book called Inner Excellence, and to watch people playing around with that is awesome.
Hey,
I love,
real quick, guys. I do want to insert, like, guys, this is one of the standards in mindset and personal development. And so to have that conversation at this time in this market, again, I'm a big fan of Tom, and no one knows how to win with realtors better than Tom. So obviously, if you want to recruit realtors and optimize those partnerships, amazing. But I mean, this is truly one. When I heard that Jim Murphy, that you guys secured him, I was like, okay, I'm going to time block that one. Not that I won't watch Tom too, but I mean, this is going to be a really special person to learn from, guys. So don't miss that one. Keep
yeah.
going.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Ziegler, are you kidding me? Zig Ziglar being one of my friends, and Tom now carrying on the torch for the Ziegler brand. Zig influenced over 250 million people in his professional speaking career. So Tom was in our recording studio where I am today 2 weeks ago. It was so great to connect with him, carrying on the legacy. If you scroll down a little bit, Coach Michael Burt, he's the founder of the Greatness Factory. This guy is a machine. And Dave, I know you know Coach Burt, and bottom line is this guy is going to change the perspective on how to align what you do every day with your key prey drive, the thing that matters most to, and it might be synonymous a little bit, Dave, with code, but the thing that matters most to your success. When you get to leverage your gift, you will have more success more quickly with less headaches. So that's powerful. Renee Godefroy.
By the way, his energy is insane, guys. Like, talk about just a monster on stage.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, Collins, founder of Housing Wire, is going to lead a panel on leadership, which is beautiful. Denise and Brian and Neil Dingra were on our webinar series 2 weeks ago. You got Neil down here. I love that. You've got
And guys, when you talk about modern marketing, the community that Neil's built, the personal work that he's done to truly be like that modern marketer. So you got at Sales Mastery, the guy who is really, leading the way in mortgage around modern marketing. Great job at getting Neil. I was stoked to see that, and amazing.
yeah. And if you want to just click on the Simon Thompson video real quick, we're going to be. I'm not going to do it. You can do it if you want, but
Yeah,
open that
well,
up. We
hey,
have
hang on. Wait, I gotta share it in a way that we can hear it. So let's listen to this one, guys.
He's
I gotta
flying all the
click
way
on
from
the.
Bali, flying all the way from Bali to be part of Sales Mastery.
Okay, let's hear what he has to say.
My name is Simon Thompson, and I am the founder of Power, which is a peak performance program for entrepreneurs and business owners all the way around the world. And I'm super stoked and excited to come and share with you at the upcoming Sales Mastery in Dallas, Texas, the tactics of what we're working with individuals and businesses all the way around the world. Okay, how you get your body in shape, how you get your mindset in shape. Most importantly, how do you create a lifestyle and a routine, aka habits around that, so it fits into your business and your family life as well. So super stoked, super excited. It's gonna be tactical things that you can implement. I'm gonna freaking pump you up and blow this through the roof. I'm excited to see you this coming October 14 to 17.
Dude, I want that guy's accent. How do we do that? Is he gonna teach us?
He was born in Denmark and then grew up in Australia, and so that's kind of where we're at. But yeah, guys, I will just tell you one of the things I feel very proud of is assembling speaker teams. I mean, this team that we have this year is just game changing. It's always been my passion to put a world class team on stage, and having Don and Gino and our partnership now has made this even more powerful. It's a global event. We've got people coming from Australia, Canada, Mexico, UK. So here we go.
So my closing thoughts on it, guys. So Don and Gino are two of the absolute best masterminders in the history of the industry.
Yeah.
I've known them as just good friends in the industry, but the heart that they have to, one, put great speakers on a stage, and then put a room full of people, and then create, you got Todd, who truly is the master of facilitating and putting an on-stage presentation that is transformational. So you have that. And then you got Don and Gino, who truly are the best at making sure people connect in between sessions, off sessions, make friends for life. It is 2025. Don't miss Sales Mastery. If you were watching the recording of this and you got value from today, give us a like. If you're watching this and you've ever been to a Sales Mastery, share this with some friends. For all you managers that are listening to this, you know having your loan officers be at Sales Mastery be a good thing. You can use this video as a resource. And then I bet you if you reached out to Todd, Don, and Gino, they would love to have more corporate relationships and more just groups of loan officers coming. So, Todd, what's the best way to reach out to someone on your team if someone wanted to, either one, have a corporate relationship or have you speak to a large group between now and the event?
Yeah, I think it would be to Marnie. Can you just put Sonia's email in and maybe Alicia's email in? I think you're on the call right now. Otherwise, I would tell you Alicia, ALICIA.Barata, BARATA @hightrust.com would be the access point to get that going. And you can, of course, always direct message me on Todd Duncan Official on IG or LinkedIn, and I'll be able to look at that as well. But here's the deal. Just don't think about it. You're worth it. Your family's worth it. Your health is worth it. Come join us. It's going to be a badass event.
All right. And if you're watching this on YouTube, we will have the housing link. Thank you, Scott, for having that one link. And all the links we've mentioned will be in that one link. We'll even have a link if you want to get a corporate deal. We'll have that. All right, Todd, you are the man, brother. I can't wait to see you in person, and I can't wait to have a super special Sales Mastery 2025. Take care, everybody. This is a wrap.
Thanks, everybody, for joining. See ya.